I'm the Doctor. This is Jess. I can go anywhere in time, space, and through my journeys I come across some of the most evil beings known to this universe. I'm the Doctor. I'm a time traveler. Right there. What are you up to?
I don't even know who you are. Where are you from? What's this technology you keep talking about? Why are you talking about past and future, not forget about other planets and aliens and time and stuff?
You brought this upon yourself, Doctor. You always have to interfere, don't you?
Okay, just let it go.
The Doctor must die.
Yes.
Let's push the world to an age of cybernetics.
I've watched the universe born and die within my lifetime. This is my story. And this is how it begins.
Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2, and back from the ashes is one Rasco Jackson.
I'm the Phoenix.
Yeah, indeed. Rasco has completed his move to Cali. He's gone back to Cali, gone back to Cali. And he is back on Geeky Gentlemen to continue our fan film reviews. So Rasco, what are we reviewing today?
Today we are reviewing Doctor Who Fan Film Series 1, Episode 1, Dawn of the Doctor.
Yeah, one of those things where, like, it's, okay, Doctor Who fan film, Dawn of the Doctor. That's the real title. They got all the other stuff in it. Okay, and I'm going to start out on this. Normally I don't watch these before I pick them, or I try not to. And I might just skip around a little bit to see if it's generally speaking up to a consistent quality. I did that a little bit here, and I guess I get just the right parts because this is probably not something I would have picked if I'd seen it all the way through. This is, unfortunately, pretty bad. And I was disappointed to find that out because it, just the visuals at the beginning made it look like it was going to start out pretty strong, and then... No. What was your reaction to it, Rasco?
I agree. For me, this was kind of hard to get through because the one thing that generally gets me through a lot of the fan films that we watch, not that there aren't great ones that we watch, but a lot of the fan films, what I always enjoy at least is when one of two things, either like the script is really strong and the directing is serviceable, or the opposite is true, where like you get like someone who's really trying to make like an actual film, and then maybe the script is the weakest part, and we talk a little bit more about the script when the technical side is on point. This is one of those where, for me, it was really hard to get through this because I felt like there were just 1,000,001 problems that I could point out in just like the basic filmmaking here.
Definitely. That is very much the point. I can't believe that this is the first thing they've ever done. The group that is making this, the 2 or 3 people, because it can't be that big a crew. I can't possibly believe this is the first thing they've ever filmed because there's a certain level of competency. I mean, the green screen doesn't look great, but it's still competent green screen work. The costuming, the props, the set design, I mean, it's not fantastic or anything, but there was some thought put into it. There was some time and energy put into it. The script isn't awful, but it's definitely not good. It's kind of like a really basic, forgettable episode of Doctor Who, if I were being perfectly honest. Like, just, this is generally one of those, middle of the season filler episodes, basically. As far as the script goes, for me, the hardest thing to watch in this is the acting. The acting, and oddly enough, of all things, this is something we don't talk about in fan films very often, the sound work.
I was going to point that out, too, yeah.
Yeah, the acting, and then the acting's... the problems with the acting are compounded by the problems with the sound in this, which is really, really unfortunate because, this went very bad. You'd have actors essentially whispering lines, and when they weren't, there was wind noise cluttering up the sound. And listen, I made films at what I'm assuming is their age too. I'd say these are 15 to 17-year-olds. Would you think I'm about right there?
Probably.
Yeah, I made films when I was about their age, and my stuff had the same problems. So this is going to be one of those things that if they watch this, I'm sure they're going to feel like we're being complete dicks. No, I've made stuff that was far worse than this. But that doesn't change the fact that watching it now, I have to be honest about it. I'm not going to put on kids' gloves. I've reviewed bad fan films and great fan films on this show, and unfortunately this is one of the bad ones. Rascal, one of these days I'm going to find a Doctor Who fan film that that is both going to be good and you're going to be able to enjoy.
Yay!
Yeah, I don't know. You talk about the sound design for a sec then.
Yeah, so the problem with the sound here is that I think the script is probably, like you said, it's nothing special. And I can't speak to how it fits as like a Doctor Who story, but the script is not like the problem with this. And the problem with bad sound design is you make it way harder on the audience to appreciate the script when it's really work to even to understand what the topic of the conversation is because of the sound design sometimes.
Yeah, the main actress in this, Jess, is just practically whispering half her lines. And again, I understand, people, you get who you can get as far as actors go in fan films, and you can tell this girl is very nervous recording. You can just hear it in her voice. You can see it in the way she does the camera look. It's very unfortunate, but she was having a really hard time with this. And that really sucks, because I can tell there was a lot of passion put into this, and I'm just sorry it didn't turn out better.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw this out there, like, one of the things that I always admire about, like, this, and I talk about that, we always bring up that X-Men Final Countdown fan film, but one of the things that really is impressive about that is how they really do have, like, a full cast, and all, like, they have their sets, and, like, they just make it, right? Like, there's something, admirable about, like, when you just say, we're going to make this Doctor Who fan film, it's going to be, like, an hour long, and we're just going to fucking make it, because I know that there's this point where you're, like, starting something off where you don't really know what the whole, like, the piece is yet, and it feels really scary. And this is just in general, like, with all, it doesn't matter what art form you're working in, like, the early stages are the hard part, because that's the part where you want to quit the most, because you don't know what it is you're making. If it's a sculpture, it's, like, still kind of looks blobbish. If you're drawing, there's not a whole lot there, and there's still so much to do. Like, with this, I imagine what it's like for them to be making this and not knowing what that final product is going to be and just making it anyway. At least that part is really admirable, I think, especially because like it's a full story. I mean, like they really do sit down and there are scenes and there's arcs, but it is held back just by like the technical side, just being there as a way of getting the story on screen almost, you know, like it's like my problems with a lot of the directing is that I always have this thing whenever I'm watching a movie where like I want to be in the mindset of the director, like what was like why did they do specifically what they did like in the moment, like why is this the angle we're shooting this scene from? Why is there these two angles for this conversation, but then also this third angle over here? Why are we cutting to a close-up of someone's face for them to say this specific line? And that's where this fan film for me has the most trouble, because it's like I couldn't really tell you the rhyme or reason for the way a lot of these scenes are shot.
Yeah, and then there's just like really awkward timing on a lot of it, and then just terrible angles. I'm seeing up people's noses in some shots. It's like it's weirdly close. And that's particularly with the green screen shots, but even then, it's still bizarrely up close and personal on some of those shots, and I cannot tell you why.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, yeah.
Well, like, it's weird because some of the green screen shots, it's like, okay, clearly you have enough room for at least one person to stand fully in this green screen. And then others, it's like you're cramming the frame. And I'm like, I don't understand why that's happening. It just looks awkward. And then there's like, just like when they're in the kitchen of the Jess character's apartment, also a problem with shooting this young. A double problem with shooting this young, but if you're shooting this young, just have them be, you know, somebody's kid. It doesn't have to be like they are an adult living on their own. In the first two series of the new Who show, Rose was living with her mother. It's okay for the companion to be living with her mother. Regardless of that. But like in that scene in her kitchen, it's just like there's how long a shot of him dumping sugar into that coffee cup or teacup. That's just awkwardly long as far as the cut and the shot and the pacing go. Back to the age thing, you know, okay, so there's perfectly justifiable story reason why Jess would be living with her mother and stuff. You don't have to have her own place. And, you know, maybe they'll leave, maybe someone will tell me, oh no, this actress is actually in her 20s. I'm like, okay, you got me. I didn't know that. But if the actors, when they shot this, were not in their 20s, if they were, you know, in the age range of 15 to 17, okay, the doctor can totally be a 15-year-old. That is completely doable by the rules of Doctor Who. And there's nothing in here to quite indicate that he's not, but with them trying to act older, it just doesn't quite fit, right?
Yeah, and it sucks now, like, because you pointing out that is possible within the universe that we're dealing with, like, that would have been like one of those examples of really utilizing the fact that you're limited by circumstance when you're making this. Like, I am a kid, I'm young. Well, why don't we you work that into the story somehow?
Well, it's funny. There's this other Doctor Who fan series called The Forgotten Doctor, and in that they make a conscious choice to have a black guy play the Doctor, and the first thing he does when he sees himself is look at his hands and go, oh, that's new. And that's just, yes, that would be new for the Doctor. So that's totally justifiable. Like, he looks at himself in the mirror, and maybe he does say something about how young he is, but I didn't catch it. He looks at himself in the mirror, and I'm like, that's a perfect opportunity to have him go, whoa, that is young, or just something to that effect. I have no idea why they didn't do that. It really, it's just a weird decision. I do respect the fact, though, that they didn't have him play one of the previous doctors or one of the existing doctors. I do respect the fact from a story standpoint that they're like, okay, we're making a Doctor Who fan series. We're not going to have him just because the companion actress has red hair and our actor has brown hair. We're not going to make it Matt Smith and Kieran Gillen. We're not going to do that. We're going to do original characters. It's a new companion. It's a new version of the Doctor. That's good. I just wish that the technical side of this, like if the technical side of this had just been a little better, it doesn't have to be great. I'll take bad acting in a fan film every day. The set design, like the fact that they have a TARDIS, not just like, you know, they have the console room. They aren't just using a 3D model of a TARDIS they pulled from green screen footage or whatever. They have a control room. They have the doors to the TARDIS that enters the control room. That's really admirable. If just the technical side had been a little bit better, if there hadn't been as many sound issues, if you'd actually had the actors enunciating and projecting their voice, this would have been, it wouldn't have been great, but it would have been a lot more watchable.
Yeah, there are little tiny things that kind of bug me in the editing where it's like you can tell that they needed to cut a little bit more off the front of the clip, where it's like someone is walking. It's like in the beginning, she's walking and talking on her phone, and the camera is rolling, and she is obviously standing still and then begins walking.
Yeah, and I made that mistake so many times. I cannot tell you the number of times that I made mistakes like that in editing, and it just makes it feel slower beyond being a mistake. You don't have to cut to the point where you literally do not see the person until they're about to do something, or until they're in like the middle of doing something. I used to do a thing where I'd have empty frame and then someone enters it, and like, I don't know what my thinking was at the time, but I was like, okay, the frame has to be empty. We have to have this establishing idea of where we are before we can see what's happening. And that just, it made the editing, the pace slow as hell for no reason whatsoever. This has a very similar problem where like it starts recording and she's standing still, but she's supposed to have been walking. So she's standing still and then continues walking as if she had been. And that's weird.
Yeah.
It looks really amateurish, and obviously it is, but still.
Yeah, I agree. There's like some things too where there's just like too much editing going on. Like, I'm not sure how this could have been shot where this many cuts was required, but you had this thing where there's this part where she's kneeling down and then she stands up and turns around, or I don't know which character it was, but one of the characters stands up and turns around, and there was like 5 cuts it wasn't, I'm probably exaggerating with 5. There was at least 3 different cuts of just a person standing up and turning around in like a split second. And stuff like that. All you have to do is you really just have to stop and think like, so this is what the character's doing. We don't need we don't need to just randomly add angles to this. We also don't need to just randomly put things in the middle of this and create like a cut back and forth type situation where it's her standing up, cut to the reaction, cut to her standing up again. You don't need that. You just need this person standing up and then cut to whatever it is that they're about to interact with or whatever's relevant next. But it's really important to just stop him for a second and think about like specifically, why am I also shooting this angle when we have this angle already? And stuff like that is just, it's little basic things. And these are things that unless somebody tells you, you never know until you've already done something. So, like, I imagine, I haven't seen the rest of this series, but I imagine that these are things that they naturally come to learn as they move forward, but I wouldn't know.
You know, that creates an interesting question. Let's go check out their channel and just look at the most recent episode of the series and see what it looks like. Shall we, Rasco?
Sure.
They're in 4 seasons of this. Wow. Series 4, Episode 4, Glitch. Okay. The CG, or the integration of the CG isn't perfect, but it looks pretty good, all things considered. And I'm just clicking through this right now, and like, it's shot a lot better. It's integrated a lot better. I think they changed doctors as well, or the kid got a haircut. I'm not sure which. It's kind of hard to tell. He aged. I'm just cutting through this, and this isn't terrible looking right now.
Yeah,
what do you see?
It's honestly, this is much improved.
It is a significant amount of improvement in this was uploaded December 3rd, 2016, so they definitely have improved in their filmmaking. I can say that just by like looking at it on mute. I can't, due to the way I have to record Geeky Gentleman currently, I can't listen to their stuff, so I can't tell you anything about sound design right now. But I don't know, this is looking pretty good in comparison. Maybe a little too HD at times, because I can see his the cuticles on his face, the hair cuticles, but whatever. I don't know, that's I imagine that if they watch this, they'll be like, oh yeah, we've gotten so much better, you're totally right about everything. This probably, like, if they're being kind, the reaction we're gonna get might get a fuck you, you guys don't know what you're saying kind of thing, but that's always a risk with these. Oh, fan filming. One thing I thought was odd is that he's using the 11th Doctor's screwdriver. And that's, it's whatever you get, props are props, but like, that came out in a series of toys where you could create your own screwdriver. So I don't know why they just didn't make one of those.
Oh.
I found that odd. There's like a pack that you could get. It costs the same as the 11th Doctor's screwdriver, I'm pretty sure, roughly. And I'm holding the 11th Doctor's screwdriver because I have the same prop. It came out in a pack like that, and like it had a bunch of parts that you could fashion your own like customized sonic screwdriver, and so that just seems like the perfect resource for a low budget fan film. And I find it odd they didn't use that. Like, I thought they might, because like you see it get like left on the ground and it looks like it's all broken or something. And then it just comes back later and he's using it. I thought that was weird. Yeah. I don't know. Rasco, you take us somewhere else on this then.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the practical effects.
Such as?
These, I don't know. I wouldn't really. Okay, effects is not necessarily the right word, but like the costume for the robot thing.
Oh, the Cyberman costume is pretty. All right, the helmet looks good. The helmet looks pretty damn good. It's the damned arms. Oh my word, those arms. Okay, let me save everybody some trouble on your Cyberman cosplay, okay? For the arms and the legs, go to the hardware store and look around in the venting section. You should be able to find round coils that are used for venting and are metallic. For the love of God, use those. Do not use a fucking metallic sweatsuit. It looked awful. There was no justifying the look of that. And it's like, it's not just that it looked bad, it's that they had props for the arms because they put the Doctor in them later. They had props for the arms, and then they didn't put those over the actor's arms. Like, if it had been under and I'd seen the wrinkly sweatsuit metallic stuff under it, that would have been one thing. But it's just their naked arms out there for no reason. It looked really bad. The Cybermen don't do anything physical. There's no reason that you need them to not have... it looked terrible.
I'm not, I have no idea, like, the Cybermen is what you're calling them. I'm not familiar with what they look like, so I wouldn't know.
I'll send you a link real quick. I mean, I think the helmet looks pretty spot on. Cyberman. Okay, I gotta find... There's a good one. Okay, so here's what a Cyberman looks like, Rasco, and people watching this, if you don't know what a Cyberman looks like, just Google Cyberman.
Okay, so it's like Iron Man version 1.
I mean, you're not far off. I gotta see if I can find, like, old school Cybermen. You know, honestly, it is a little... The Iron Man has definitely taken a toll on the Cybermen's design over the years. There's no denying that. There's a neat little thing that shows you a bunch of different Cybermen over the years next to each other. But regardless of all that, would you agree, though, they got the helmet was pretty legit.
Yeah.
They got the bar down pretty well. I don't know. I guess to be fair, I'm looking at some of these really old Cybermen designs. They did literally have people walking around in metallic sweatsuits. So I can't be too hard on it. That's literally what's happening in a couple of these pictures. I hadn't realized that. I need to go watch more classic Doctor Who, so I'll give a little bit more credit to that, though I still think it's a bad choice when you literally have arm things to put on at the time.
Yeah, I'll say that, you know, I can't imagine, unless that was built for something, like, prior to this, like they were just, they made that costume for fun. Mm-hmm. That, I do have to respect that. Like, that's a pain, dude, to fucking make something like that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's no denying that costume design is a pain, but you know what? If you can't make the costume, then don't put it in your script.
Oh, drop the mic.
That's just a basic rule. It's a fan film thing. If you don't feel confident in your ability to make or use a costume and have it look good on film, then don't put it in your script. I can't be kind to a choice like that. If the costume's bad, then the costume's bad, and you don't put it in your script. There's no mandate that you have to use the Cybermen. It's your script. Write a different script. Use a different villain. There's no rule in Doctor Who that you have to use... Like, Doctor Who has, more than any other quote-unquote superhero franchise, Doctor Who does not have to have reoccurring villains constantly. Doctor Who's Rogues Gallery does have, you know, the Lex Luthor, the Joker equivalent, that kind of thing. But they also will introduce villains. There are new villains, new monsters every series of Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. There's yet, to my mind in the new Who canon, there is yet to be a series of nothing but callback monsters. So there's really no reason that they couldn't have had an original monster for this story with a costume they could pull off. The Doctor converting the Cybermen with the Cybermen. I mean, it was a neat idea, but my problem with it was this. He reaches for the Cyberman's helmet, I'm pretty sure, with the same arm that he is later unable to remove from the wall.
Yeah.
And that was kind of ridiculous. So yeah.
Yeah, there were some weird things in that scene where, like, maybe they were, like using, like, a mirror effect, and they were, like, reversing the image. And some of that,
I'm not
there was
sure.
I just remember there was, like, a really weird shot where, like, one of them comes up behind him and starts, like, choking him from behind. And it kind of just felt like it was the guy that he was talking to, like, mirrored and put behind him for this one, like, weird cutaway shot to, like, the guy approaching him from behind. It kind of just felt like they mirrored a shot that could have been that could have been why his hand that was, you know, attached to the wall somehow was able to get free. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. It's unfortunately not very good. But it's very much so, you know, growing pains, learning stuff. And this is how you learn to make better fan films, and obviously they've learned from it. It's completely different than the X-Men thing, where like, yeah, it's all impressive that they managed to, get a full cast and all that stuff. That's great, but you know what? Our problem with the X-Men fan film was that they'd been doing it for years and they hadn't really improved from what we could tell.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of their series, and they have improved.
Yeah, definitely.
Just at least visually, if nothing else. I can't speak to acting or sound quality, but they've improved their visual directing style.
Definitely. And it's this is why like you shouldn't ever like be like horrified that your early work, when people are critical of it, like it may not hold up to scrutiny, but the thing is, it doesn't like strip something of its value, because that's what like kind of makes something like this pretty valuable, is that like you really can like dissect it and learn from it.
Yeah, I agree. This is a testament to growing as an artist. Just in visuals alone, they have grown as artists, so that's great. I can't speak to storytelling or any of the other stuff yet, but visually alone, as far as how to direct, how to shoot, how to integrate effects, they've grown. Oh, that's something to mention real quick. The use of digital effects, I talk about this a lot, where you can find all those green screen elements, and by far, use them if you can. Do not use them if you are not shooting for them. There's the scene in the beginning where the TARDIS blew up and like the camera's panning around the console and it's supposed to be on fire, but like you clearly have a fire with like a flat surface that it's coming off of, and yet that is moving around the console with the camera. And that's weird, because you lock down your shot and you integrate that at one specific spot. That's how you integrate an effect like that. Furthermore, if you are going to have your, machine look like it's breaking down, don't digitally shake the camera, because that looked bad. Get in there and shake the damn camera. That was shot really poorly, but again, they've improved visually.
Said no one in 2017. Get in there and shake the damn camera.
Well, damn it! It like you could tell they were digitally shaking the camera, and I think it looked really awful because nothing looked like it was moving. It just looked like they went in and used the pan crop tool and keyframed it shaking, and that doesn't look good. This, just fucking shake your camera. What the hell? You've got an actual set.
Fair points.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, are you ready to go ahead and move on to the ratings then?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I will go ahead and give this a... I'm going to give it a 1.5 out of 5 cardboard Cybermens.
I'll go a little bit higher than you. I'll give it... Wait, what? You gave it a 1... Did you give it a 1.5?
Yeah.
Never mind then. I can't give it. I'm gonna give it a 1.5 out of 5 sonic screwdrivers.
There you go. Here. 1.5.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, Rasco, what are we going to be discussing next week?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because, like always, I am totally unprepared for this. But I'm looking. I just found one that could be pretty interesting. It's called Croft fan film. I think it's a Laura Croft fan film.
Yeah, sounds like it.
So,
just Croft fan film.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll be back next week to discuss a Laura Croft fan film. Sounds exciting. Everyone, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm the Beta Male Cuck.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.